we had no idea about how to run an email agency. We didn't know anything about email marketing. So we're like, let's just dive straight in and let's learn it.
When me and Mike were just doing everything ourselves, we were learning on the fly, we were figuring everything out, we were making 1,000 mistakes, and there were no systems and processes whatsoever. It was chaos.
Because I still do it. I still get on calls at 11 p.m, at midnight. I'll go to sleep, I'll wake up at 4:30 a.m, and I'll go do another sales call. I don't give a
An overwhelming majority of agencies don't have even 50% of what you've just talked about.
How do you approach hiring and finding A players?
I think one of the reasons why a lot of teams cannot grow or they struggle to grow is because there is not enough of clarity for each team member on what their exact role is.
You can't take off time. You can't be sick because you're delivering for your clients. You can't go on paternity leave or maternity leave because you have to deliver for your clients. If your house burned down, too bad. Hopefully you got your laptop when you ran out because you still got to deliver for your clients, right?
I think there are only two ways that you can really survive and thrive in the space going forward. You either got to be really good at
How do you as a leadership team complement each other's strengths? How do you operate in the dynamic?
You got to be obsessed. You got to be a bit of a madman, right? You got to be crazy.
Right, so today we are lifting the hood of not an ordinary agency that has helped Unilever, Carnival, Snacks, Dipology, and 200 plus other brands scale their revenue through email. They've built a highly efficient system for scaling email marketing, blending strategy, data, and creative execution. Honestly, this team doesn't need an introduction. No limit email. Welcome to the Big Girl Show.
It's good to be here. Thanks, Roman.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
Good. So I think it would be great if we could start with you guys introducing yourself a little bit. Sort of what roles and responsibilities do you have in the business?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll go first. So I'm Michael. I'm the co-founder. Jerry and I, we're husband and wife. So it's a family business. And really my role in the business has been sales, referral partnerships, and I guess just bringing revenue into the business. A lot more in the earlier days, I did a lot of the strategy, but most of what I focus on now is revenue growth.
I'm Jerry, as Michael already said. I'm the wife and co-founder of No Limit Email. Yeah, my role is COO, I guess. I'm like Chief Operating Officer at NLE. Yeah, I'm basically head of all of the operations that goes on at NLE.
Hi, and I'm Josh. Since it's a family business, I'm the son. I'm the general manager at NLE, and initially I was heading most of the strategy stuff. Actually, I'm still the strategy lead, and right now I do most of the marketing stuff. So supporting with Mike. So we're building a super strong marketing engine to support sales, and yeah, now it's going to be like a tag team kind of thing, just to bring in and drive more revenue for the business.
Great, awesome. Let's start with, I guess, let's go back to the time when you guys co-founded, started the agency. How did the agency come to life? What was the vision? Why the agency business? What was the thinking behind all of that?
Yeah, definitely. So it started, I always forget, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Both Jerry and I, we've had a very long background in e-commerce, both on the agency side and also owning our own e-commerce brands. At one point, yeah, we were working for very big agencies, and we also had a e-commerce agency, mainly doing Amazon, working for Amazon brands, doing their listings, so copywriting, graphic design, everything like that. And we're working at some very big agencies, and there were two things. One, in terms of creating the email agency, I think the biggest value that we wanted to uphold was that we didn't want to be a churn and burn agency. So we worked with some of Australia's biggest digital agencies, and when they get to that size, they typically become these churn and burn type of agencies. And while we were working inside of them, we were like, this isn't that great. They're not really servicing and getting the client's results. So we want to make something that is the complete opposite of that. At the same time, we had the Amazon agency, but everything was like project based. So on top of that, we were like, okay, well, we want something that has predictable monthly revenue for us. So we've got to get away from this project based Amazon thing. And very random, but I was just, doing my thing on Facebook groups, looking around, and I'm in a lot of copywriting groups, and then I just started to come across a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I do email marketing for people, and you can make money from email. And I'm sure maybe you were the same, but years ago I was like, who buys from an email, right? I never
Mm.
go into my inbox, click an email, and go buy an e-commerce product. That wasn't my customer journey. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, so people buy from emails. That's really interesting. Then I read about it a lot more. And yeah, just one night I just turned to Jerry and I was like, let's start an email agency. But the thing is that we had no idea about how to run an email agency. We didn't know anything about email marketing. So just like, every other crazy entrepreneur out there or business owner, we're like, let's just dive straight in and let's learn it. We bought 2 courses and just 24/7 for a month, just completed those courses, tried to learn as much as we could about email marketing. We went to 4 previous clients from the Amazon agency that we owned, and we said, hey, we'll do your email marketing for free. We'll do it for 1 or 2 months. We just want a few things from you: testimonials, case studies, and referrals if we do a good job. We did that for free for like 1 or 2 months. And then 3 of them were like, we want to stay on and pay you. And then they all referred us new clients. And then, yeah, it just grew from there. So from not knowing anything about email to learning everything in a month and then launching the agency. And then within our first year, it was a major success, more
Yeah.
successful than any other business we started before.
4 years later, we know a lot about email, by the way. Just
Yeah. I'm still referring back to those 2 courses.
Interestingly, now you've become probably one of the most known email marketing agencies in the e-commerce space. At least every single time I speak to retention marketing agencies, most people refer either to you or to our dear friend Adam Kitchen,
Good old
and
Adam.
they ask about you guys, about Magna Monster. It's fascinating, how you can start a business from basically scratch and not having any fundamental purpose or big idea, but then grow into such an interesting brand. Have you ever expected that you would become such an own agency?
I don't think so. I mean,
Mm.
not me personally. And I felt like it did happen quite gradually, but at the same time, quite quickly. And I
Mm.
think, we were so obsessed with it because even when we started, we had full-time jobs and then our other agency. And we would just work a day and night. We'd work weekends. We were just addicted to getting results and providing the best service that we could. And then, yeah, I don't know when the tipping point was and when we started to sort of notice like, hey, people actually know us. But we did build out a very big referral network in terms of like first 2 years. I mean, even in the first year, that was sort of like our main lead source. And it was really 90% of my job was chatting to agency owners, getting to know people, making those connections and networks, and then, yeah, building the business.
Mm-mm. Josh and I, we had a little chat a couple of weeks ago about servicing clients globally. And I remember when, like, you and me, we met for the first time like 3 or 4 years ago when I was running my digital marketing agency as well. And I think we talked about also like how you guys manage time zones, working, being based in Australia, but also working with clients from states. But then what Josh said was kind of stuck with me, and the sort of a hardcore mindset, the approach you have to, not hardcore, but like the way you approach time zones is quite interesting, I would say. I don't think there are a lot of Australian-based agencies that are willing to work throughout the night and late evenings to be able to service US-based clients. I remember that we also talked, and you said like, yeah, late nights, late evenings, it had to be done. Why did you decide to actually, work with the US clients in the first place? And were there any other challenges in the very beginning, once you started expanding?
Yeah, in terms of the time zones and the US clients, I think it just kind of happened naturally. We just started attracting US clients. I had referral partners and what do you call them, like marketing brokers who I got in contact in the US, and we started receiving a lot of US clients and onboarding them. And in the early days, it was probably 70, 80% US brands.
Mm.
Right now, I'd say it's like 95% of the brands that work with us, all US based. The good thing about it is the almighty USD. So currency conversion wise, we were making a lot more money than if we were servicing Australian brands. And in terms of like handling the time zones, look, you're building a business, and it's not supposed to be easy, right?
Mm.
You need to, as I said before, we worked 24/7. We never had a weekend off for, I believe, like the first 2.5, 3 years. There was no weekends. And yeah, you just got to bite the bullet with the time zones. We were even having dinner with another couple who own a very successful agency, and they have a sales guy. He's from the UK, but he lives in Bali, Indonesia. And I told them, because I still do it, right? I still get on calls at 11 p.m., at midnight. I'll go to sleep. I'll wake up at 4:30 a.m. and I'll go do another sales call, right? Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm here to build a business, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. And they were saying to me, they were like, okay, we're telling our sales guy the crazy hours you do, and he's got to pick up his game because what he's doing is not good enough. Yeah, and that's just how it is. I mean, right now we are trying to get sales off of my hands, especially for those really late night calls or early morning, so I can get a little bit more sleep because we also have a baby. But yeah, you have to do what you have to do, because otherwise what happens? Your business fails. And we all know that, what is it, something crazy like 99% of businesses fail within the first 2 years. And I think, again, it comes back to that being obsessed, right? And I do love that word. You do have to be absolutely obsessed with what you do and your craft, and getting results for your clients, and making them happy.
Now, considering the fact that there are more and more attention marketing agencies popping up every other day, because obviously the bar to enter the market, the industry is not that high. Do you see, because like obviously we hear that from other agencies saying that it's becoming more and more difficult to differentiate, to be different, or to compete. Have you noticed that as well, or you don't even think about that?
I hear the chatter a lot
Mm.
also. So one, you got to differentiate. Number two, there's so many email bros on LinkedIn, and I've even jumped on calls and chatted with them. And what they do is crazy. They'll charge like $1,000, and they'll do like unlimited or 40 emails a month, and they'll get everything out within like week one, or in 2 weeks. And they're undercharging, and I'm just like, you're crazy. And yeah, I mean, of course, you can look at it from the perspective of, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of price competition. But I guess for us, one, we can differentiate in terms of our expertise and the level of expertise that we have. But two, I mean, we really haven't felt the crunch,
Mm.
of this, happening to us. We still get leads, we're still closing sales. And I think you just have to have the long-term vision. And I think that's something that we're really working on a lot this year, is building a real marketing machine with longevity, and putting in our time into content on YouTube, SEO, to be seen everywhere,
Mm.
on the internet. Because the other funny thing is that also, when I talk to a lot of prospects or even current clients, sometimes I ask them like, was there any other email agency that you interviewed? Some of them interview a bunch, but a lot of them were like, you're the only email agency I know of, or that I heard
Mm.
of, and I contacted you and was super impressed, and then I just went with you. So yeah, I guess for me personally, I'm not seeing it having a negative effect on us.
Mm. You mentioned about the long term plan and vision. What is a long term vision for the business? Is it are you speaking about marketing, or is
I'm
generally
just speaking
speaking
about
how? Mm.
just marketing
Yeah.
from yeah, from what I was talking about. Because the past like 4 years, we've really focused on delivery, just making sure we're delivering the best that we can, as a efficiently and effectively as we can. And it's kind of just been me by myself, sitting alone in a corner doing sales without much support. And so I'm just like networking, reaching out to people, trying to bring in sales without much marketing happening. Like, I only started posting on LinkedIn last year, and same with Twitter. And then that's kind of been it. It's just been that, and then referrals. And this year we're like, all right, let's switch the focus a little bit. Let's start doing paid ads. Let's start creating lead magnets. Let's start doing YouTube videos every week. So we don't have to rely on these referrals and just organic.
I was going to speak about your Zone of Genius as a business, but I just wanted to make a sidestep, to be honest, because, for example, Christine and I, we're always curious about other businesses who are run by couples, by families, and how they manage not just themselves, the time, the boundaries, and everything else. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic. We've observed, obviously, ourselves and how we work, and people ask us if we experience any friction within the relationship or the business itself, and we do not, for the most part. We're quite aligned, and we just naturally fall into our own roles and responsibilities. Obviously, we work a lot, and we do notice that we need to make an effort to invest in the relationship itself rather than just business. So curious about your early days and how it's evolved. If you'd like to share a little bit, like how do you manage the dynamic within the relationship and business? Obviously, building it together.
I'll talk for the business, and then Jerry, you can take the relationship side. So I just sleep on the couch. Nah. So for the business, I mean, the great thing is that Jerry and I are very good at very different things. She is like an operator. She keeps the train running on time. She's very good at organization, teams, being on schedule, all of that sort of great stuff, where I am absolutely terrible at that. And of course, what I'm good at is talk. I always just say I'm just good at talking to people. And sometimes people are like, "What do you do for a job?" And I'm like, "I just chat to people." That's pretty much it. And so I was good at sales and referral partnerships. So in terms of like the business, we had very different roles, and they didn't really cross over. So business wise, it's been super smooth sailing. We see eye to eye on everything. Relationship wise, Jerry?
Yeah, no, relationship wise, it's been pretty smooth as well. I mean, we're both obsessed. Like, we've always both been obsessed with business and marketing. So, even before running the business together and building NLE, we both had our own businesses and our own like side hustles, and we were both supporting each other in that. Chatter is always about work, like mostly for the most part. Obviously, we have other interests and we talk about that, but I think for us it works in our favor that we're both so passionate about this line of work, because it, if anything, it gives us that, I guess, connection and that common interest in wanting to be an entrepreneur and make that our lifestyle. And then we started deciding to have a family, and that dynamic came into the mix a year and a half ago. And we had our first daughter, Billy. And if anything, I just like, you'd think that bringing a baby into the mix would make you slow down in business. But I feel like if anything, ambitions have just doubled, and we're talking about other, products, other businesses. So I guess it's just kind of in our in our genes, in our bones, like it's just what we do. So hopefully Billy will become like that as well.
I think the good thing also about starting the family is that also now, you know, there was a point in time where it was like, okay, we don't have to work as crazy on weekends. But then we had the baby, and now we have a kid, and now it's like no work on weekends, right? There's because now you can't have an excuse to work on weekends. It's just family time. So I guess even now it's like Saturday, Sunday. It's just all about me, Jerry, and baby Billy, which is great.
We're just fortunate enough to have been in a position, I mean, not fortunate, we worked our ass off to get in this position to make sure that we had a team and a business structure that could support that kind of lifestyle. So we felt like it's been good for all of us.
Very aspirational. Josh, what's it like to work for mom and dad?
Very good question. Because they now have their weekends, I don't. Just kidding. I mean, that was the reason why I joined NLE, and I think why I could gel so well with both Mike and Jerry is because I'm equally obsessed. I never ever have like an hour off. Like my brain is just constantly on overdrive. I'm constantly listening to new podcasts on like finance, on supply chain, on internal operations, on growth, on M&A, stuff like that, right? I'm constantly also reading and just getting better and better and better at marketing. So initially what I wanted to do was just be like the best damn marketer in the whole wide world, until I realized that at some point that you can't just be the best, right? And so what if you're the best, right? If you just need to know how to market yourself better and to also multiply yourself. And that's how I started becoming a little bit obsessed with growing a team. And in my previous agency, that's how I started to grow that team and get that base. Yeah. So when I met Mike and Jerry, I was like, wow, these guys are pretty much exactly the same as me. Like we've got the same kind of brain. And it also helps because so Jerry is super ops, right? She's the SOP queen. She's got an SOP for literally everything. And right now we've got an SOP for on how to create an SOP, which is the best, which is the best thing. And then Mike is great at sales. He's great at the marketing stuff. And then I'm good at strategy. I'm also great at, and I love the team. I am passionate about the team. I would, I do like 1 a.m. calls, 2 a.m. calls with the team just so that we can get time zones across, right? Because I know that at the end of the day, the team is what makes or breaks an agency. An agency is made up of agents, which is the team, right? And the agency cannot exist without the team. So, whatever the case is, like my obsession is growing the team. So that's why we do lots and lots of training. We invest in our team like crazy. Obviously, we also have like a super strict hiring process. We want to make sure that we have the highest quality candidates that come in. But then investing in the team is something that I never ever slack on. So we've got like a whole as like a 2 week onboarding, like one-on-ones, all the way, and then I'm constantly coaching the team all the time. So when you talk about obsession with marketing, obsession about the business, like yeah, it's great. Like all of us are completely aligned, and yeah, that's what NLE is so good.
Yeah, fascinating. Do you think this is a part of your overall strength as a business? We refer to it as the zone of genius, right? We throw that phrase quite often when it comes to individual performance as well as performance of the business. What is it that we mean specifically is that zone of genius is that unique combination of strengths, skills, and the things that you're mostly passionate about, but also where do you create the most value? It's that unique differentiator between what you're really, really good at and everyone else. Would you say that obsession or also people is the part of it? And is that what sort of sets you apart from, let's say, other agencies, not just email marketing agencies, but generally speaking?
That's a tough question. In terms of my personal zone of genius, I think it's just about multiplying people, multiplying good people in the business. Because as much as you want to be like you can't be the best in the agency, and it doesn't make sense for you to be the best in the agency. You should always have someone that's smarter than you. If not, the agency cannot grow. So my obsession is with growing people, and I think I'm pretty damn good at that. If you ask anyone on the team, I don't think anyone can take that away from me. Like to the point where I've got this philosophy for every single team member that comes on board, and I also tell them this. It's like when you join NLE, like my goal as your manager is to make sure that you become so good that you are one, better than me, and two, better than you ever knew yourself to be able to, and three, to be so good that another agency can poach you. But then you choose to stay with NLE because we groom you and we have great culture, right? That's your choice at the end of the day. So in terms of my zone of genius, I think it's just about coaching teams and coaching and making people feel like they are protected. Because the worst thing in an agency, and all of us have worked in agencies before. Agencies have a super toxic culture, right? No one likes working in an agency. Agency just means that everyone is going to crunch your time. You have no time for yourself anymore. Yeah, it's just the worst, right? Your managers don't care about you. You are loaded and you just burn out. So and yeah, I just want to be that manager who protects them and fights for them and defends them in front of clients as well as pushes them. So push them in terms of excelling in their own career as well as advocating for them. So because there's some things that team members will never tell the founders, right? But they can tell me because I'm the middle guy. I'm also the employee, but at the same time I have resources and I have my way of pitching things to Mike and Jerry, right? And because I see things from the agency point of view, I also see things from the employee point of view. So I think that's kind of my zone of genius. I haven't really found anyone else in this space who's there. So if you can find, if you have someone like that, please let me know. I just wish I have a friend.
Did you have to develop that yourself, or did it come naturally to you in your life?
I think it came naturally since my first job. I was the first employee in the agency, so I had to become that person. And previously, I was working as a freelancer. I had a freelance team, so naturally, again, I had to have that mentality. So I think I just fell into this position, and it happened that I didn't suck at it. If I sucked at it, I'll probably hate my life right now. But no, it just happened to be decently okay with it.
What's interesting is that obviously a lot of agency founders strive to build a self-sustaining, a self-running agency business, which is relatively hard to do because it's a people business. And finding a great managing director, a great CEO, is pretty tough. You're one of these rare cases where it feels like you've not just found each other, but there's great dynamic, there's great culture. What is your advice to, let's say, people? It's like, what's been your experience building this team, and you, Jerry, and Mike, kind of not exiting the business, but as founders, not being in day to day as much as you used to in the back in time. What's your experience, and what would be perhaps your advice to those who are looking to maybe make this leap and find a managing director or CEO for the business?
Let's just add, what is it that you've done so that you have the weekends off, as you said?
Yeah.
I guess in order for us to like not be so in the day-to-day of the business, definitely building the foundations of the important pillars of the business so it can run without us. And that pretty much started from the first day that we hired our first team member, because obviously when me and Mike were just doing everything ourselves, we were learning on the fly. We were figuring everything out. We were making 1,000 mistakes, and there were no systems and processes whatsoever. It was chaos. But as we started to realize that we needed to develop a team, the need for quality control over other team members without us losing our minds became really evident. So, first things first, we had to build like systems and processes of like, well, what packages are we delivering? What is the work that goes into these packages? Like, obviously every account is, slightly customized because we're talking about different brands, but we can definitely map out all of the deliverables that we do on across each account from start to finish. Who are the people that need to run those different deliverables? What are the checklists in order to get those deliverables done at the standard that we want? So it was like, first of all, just making sure that we had all of those SOPs in place for all of the contractors that we were hiring so that we weren't going through a million, email copies or designs and having such different standards across the board. Once we finally had that somewhat in place, we definitely knew that we needed to start building out like a leadership team so that we could slowly stop being the QA across everybody. So that's when we started identifying strong leadership in the team members that we had. Two of our team members that are with us still now have been with us from the very beginning. They're still with us 4 years on, and they've moved into amazing leadership roles with the mentorship of me and Josh. And without their strong knowledge in their fields and their sharp razor eyes, I absolutely, me or Josh wouldn't be able to step out of the daily operations and think about the business and not be in the business. So definitely looking at like team structures, leadership structures, and how that all maps out for your business, for our business. And as Josh mentioned, putting in some solid training and a lot of work into those team members that are showing that they want to develop in their careers. They want to become the best versions of themselves. So we put a lot of time and training and resources into the development of our team members, which I think has naturally in itself built the culture of NLE from the get-go. I think me and Mike just displayed obsession and hard work, and every single person that we've hired has seen that that's how things are done at NLE. We also like to have a lot of fun too, and so banter is always thrown around. That's also important to our culture. But yeah, we work hard, we play hard, and that's pretty much just how people feel NLE is when they come into our environment. They're just like, oh, I can't just clock in, clock out. Everybody here are high performers. I've got to step up my game. That's the feedback that we get from all of our like new team members. Glassdoor reviews there to approve it. So yeah, it's something pretty special that we've built in the environment at NLE. Something that we work really hard to protect as well. So we always like do make sure that we're hiring the correct people, we're keeping the correct people, putting the correct people in like full-time positions and leadership positions. Yeah. So, I mean, this wasn't something that was built in a day or a year. It took me and Mike at least, what was it, Mike, 2.5 years
Say 2.5.
until we could take some weekends off. And before then, it was like solid 10, 14-hour days for me and Mike. But the work put into building those foundations and structures within the business completely paid off because, as I said, it allowed us to have a family, take a few months off in the business. Luckily, we found Josh. So we found like a GM that could completely, take over the direction and leadership of the entire team. So yeah, putting in all of those hours of work in the early days definitely pays off for sure.
Fascinating. How do you define culture, and how do you go about defining culture yourself? Obviously, that's probably the most subjective thing when it comes to building business, right? Not a lot of people understand how to infuse culture, or how to maybe define values or a vision for the business, and then kind of filter out the right people or the wrong people out of the business. And then when it comes to hiring, also onboard the right people. How do you communicate it inside of the business? Are you open about it? How do you approach it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we do, like me, Mike, and Josh, we do have a vision of the business and where we're going, and that's always communicated in like our all hands meetings on like quarterly basis, so the whole team know the goals that we're working towards, the initiatives that we're working on that quarter, and everything that we're measuring in order to reach that goal. But the overall vision of the agency and who we are and what we stand for, that's all kind of documented in our SOPs. And when a person is inducted into the agency, they go through a pretty thorough onboarding induction process where they go through understanding and all through like an induction process through our SOPs. They go through who we are as an agency, what is our vision, what is our mission, who is our culture, who are the team, what do we deliver, what kind of packages do we deliver, like how the systems and processes go for communication, how the systems and processes go for delivery. And then it goes even more granular into each role, like what is it that you will be, contributing to the agency? How does your role play a part? What do you do? What do we expect of this person? So yeah, so they pretty much have the expectations and set standards when they start, not even just in the interview process, but even, before they get started with any work. And then, yeah, as I said, we're constantly communicating our wins, our weekly, well, yeah, we have like all hands meetings every week. So we always communicate like our weekly wins, any losses, what are our priorities for the week, and what are any emerging issues. That way that we can all get across, what we're moving towards each week and have everybody's feedback and say, contributed to that so that everybody is on board the mission.
Yeah, I have a question which popped up in my mind when you were speaking about the culture, because you were speaking also about hiring good people and onboarding them. So how do you approach hiring and finding A players? Obviously, before they go to the inception and onboarding, you need to find them. So how is this happening within your agency?
We go through a pretty thorough process now. I mean, after trial and testing all sorts of different ways of recruitment, and we've gone through recruitment agencies, we've gone through Upwork, we've gone through every single channel that most entrepreneurs go through. And after figuring out, what it takes to be able to kind of set apart who fits within the culture and who's a great fit for that role. We definitely have figured out like a hiring process of a really great job description first of all, and filters for that. And then obviously once anybody puts in an application, the very first step they have to do is submit an intro video of themselves. That way we can, before we even jump on an interview with them, because obviously we do want to make sure that we're utilizing our time, and when you get hundreds of applicants, you don't want to be interviewing hundreds of people. So we do shortlist people, make them do an intro video so that we can get a good glimpse of who they are, how they communicate, their personality. And then once they go through that, each role has its own set of skills tests and questionnaire tests. So if you're a strategist, you get a strategist questionnaire sent to you. So you have to go through that and submit your answers. People have to pass at least 75% of that questionnaire to be able to go through the next round. And then once they complete the questionnaire, then we jump on an interview and look at personality and culture fit. And then once we finish that interview, then they complete an assessment, like a real life assessment of what they would be doing in their work. So if they're a strategist, they would be creating a email brief with dummy examples. If they were a specialist, they would do a QA on an email. If they were a designer, they would do a sample design. Once they submit that assessment, each of our team leads reviews the assessment and gives feedback. If they're good to go, then they will go through to the final interview. And that's when we talk about, scenario questions, how they would adapt in certain environments and things like that. So we can have a little bit more of an in-depth idea of their critical thinking. And then obviously talk about offers in that final interview as well. And then if they get through all those 5 stages, then they might be a good fit for the role. But even then, from experience, no matter how good of a hiring process you have, you just don't know how people will turn out to be until you get them in the job. Sometimes people can really shine in an interview or shine throughout the application process, but 3 weeks in, a month in, they start to show their work ethic, and it just may not fit with the company culture and vision. So yeah, you can definitely put together a great hiring process, which is important, and a great induction process so that you set them up for success, which is equally important. But you still just have to see how they go once they get in on the job, which is why we also put a probationary period once they start as well.
That is definitely a thorough process. I would say, I'm not sure if you obviously talk to other agencies and try to understand how they operate, but in our experience, an overwhelming majority of agencies don't have even 50% of what you've just talked about. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, there is a reason why you guys attract great people, and team and culture is it's the sort of at the core of what you do. I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe leadership and how you work as a team a little bit more as well. How do you as a team, how do you as a leadership team complement each other's strengths? How do you operate in the dynamic? Is there an approach to it? Does it come naturally to you? Do you have to predefine how you work together? What's the way here?
Josh, did you want to, seeing as you're a lot involved in the leadership team?
Yeah, I think we briefly talked about it earlier on. So, I mean, the good thing about us is that we don't really cross, and we don't step on each other's toes. Not very much. Once in a while we do, but not very much, because we just know each other's strengths, right? So when it comes to anything that's related to, let's say, like a specific operational task, right? Like I don't really butt in. Like that's Jerry's area of expertise, and then we've got an ops manager who can handle that, right? So that's for the ops team to handle. So I think we are just very clear on our own roles and our responsibilities, and I think the same thing for most of the team. I think one of the reasons why a lot of teams cannot grow or they struggle to grow is because there's not enough of clarity for each team member on what their exact role is or what their exact responsibility is. So then there's a lot of scope creep even within their own job, which causes a lot of confusion. It causes a lot of frustration for the team member. Everyone feels like they're super overworked, and then yeah, the whole team is just not very happy because of that. So I mean, the same thing also just applies to the three of us, right? We just know where our expertise is. We know where is the most valuable use of our time. And sometimes we do, like, let's say like Mike always calls me out for like, hey Josh, can you stop doing this? Because it's like it's not a valuable use of the time. Like you have better leverage doing something else. And I mean that's a good thing, right? Because we are super just very transparent with all our communication. So if we're doing something wrong, yeah, just say that, right? Like there's no point in trying to hide it or try to sugarcoat it, because especially in the leadership team, if you're trying to avoid a difficult conversation, it's going to be the worst thing. Because at that point, like whatever you decide on, you need to have complete alignment before you communicate anything to the team. If like you end up like arguing in front of the team, it's not a good sign. So we make sure that we speak about things first. We are totally on the same page before we go to the team. And so we are always trying to work 1-2 steps ahead, so that at any one point in time we are always there, right? So that anytime like there's any other problem that comes that comes up, like we are in unison there. I think that's going to be like super important in terms of guiding the team and leading the team in a common direction. Otherwise, if you've got three different people with three different views and conversations happening in public, everyone's just going to be super confused. Everyone's going to be like probably scared, because like, oh my god, like daddy and mommy are fighting. Like, what am I going to do? Are they going to think like, oh, is the company going to crumble right now? Like, when's the end of this thing? So yeah, just when you are clear on what you're supposed to do, clear on where you're supposed to go, I think everything sorts itself out.
Especially now, me and Josh have work forms.
Yeah.
Every hour of work, we write down what we're working on and we send each other an email, so we know exactly what we've
Wow,
we've
that's
both done in
great.
the last hour. We do it for every hour of every day. We just started
Christina,
2 days ago. I really like it. I've enjoyed
Christina,
it.
we should do that. We should do that too.
You will
That's
love it.
amazing.
Roman loves knowing what he's doing every minute. He got
So
this timer on the
I've got
desk.
this timer.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is basically,
I've
I
seen
put
one
a
of those.
timer and then I
Yeah.
time myself for every single hour or 30 minutes. Like I try to forecast how much time something's going to take me, and then I'll by the end, and I was like, I'm playing with the idea of how accurate I am in when it comes to forecasting my own activities. But
Yeah.
what you guys do is incredible. I think it's to do with alignment and aligning yourself before you make any major decisions, and then pass it on to the team. Again, I guess I want to compliment you on what you're doing, because again, from our experience, most teams don't even know that they've got alignment problems. For the most part, very much misaligned in terms of how co-founders, leadership teams make decisions, and then it's sort of also being passed on to the team subconsciously or consciously, and then team picks up that behavior, misaligned behavior as well. So what you're doing is phenomenal. It's definitely very, very important for the business. What has been the biggest, or maybe the most challenging leadership lesson that you've learned running No Limit Email?
I'll go first. I think this is something that has been, like, I speak to Mike and Jerry about this all the time. And initially, I made a big mistake because I thought that was better than that. It's that you can't be friends with everyone in your team. Initially, I thought that, I was different. Like everyone thinks that, yeah, I think I'm able to, draw a clear line. I'm able to be, a friend with them. I'm able to like chat with them about their life. Like they can come to me with their own personal problems and all that kind of stuff. So, but what ends up happening is that you kind of blur the lines, because at some point you have to realize that you're not just colleagues, but you are also their boss, right? And you have to make tough decisions. You got to say no sometimes, and you got to call them out for shit. And as friends, you don't really do that, but in a work environment, you have to, right? And having to say no because you set the wrong precedent becomes very difficult. So yeah, I think that's been my
Mm.
biggest learning lesson over the last couple of years. Just yeah, try. You just can't. As much as you want to be, you can't, and you can't share everything. You got to learn. You got to know what to share and what you can't be shared. You got to know how to tease it a little bit, but not give everything away, because some things are confidential. Some things are still a work in progress. And then yeah, you just can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably also one of the things that we see across some of the teams, and it comes with personal development and personal self awareness. Curious about you, Michael and Jerry. Is there anything that stands out to you?
For me, I think one of my biggest lesson in leadership is that one person can't wear all hats. Like, I think particularly when me and Mike first started growing the business and we had to, like, luckily though, we're two co-founders, so we could spread out the work between us. So hats off to those solo founders. I honestly don't know how some of you guys do it. It's insane. But even with like my own workload split between me and Mike, that it was just, it's a lot. And I think the moment I realized that you can't be spread across too thin as a leader was when I had to stop work and, you know, give birth to my baby and give my time to my baby, because I realized, holy shit, I do so much in this business. Who's going to do this stuff when I'm gone? And that's when we were forced to start looking at, you know, leadership teams and figure, like, I mean, we had like, you know, delivery leadership teams, but we didn't have upper, you know, C-suite management leadership teams. So I was still doing all of that, plus still somewhat being in the day to day of the business. So, and then the other mistake I made was when we found Josh, which was an amazing find, and you know, great value that I was able to like put in my place. Even to expect him to do everything that I did, we realized that one person just can't do that. And so after 9 months of being off work, and I came back, and Josh did an amazing job filling in my shoes and, you know, keeping the agency going while I was away. But we both realized, okay, this involves multiple leaders. Like, we need somebody for ops, we need somebody for finance, we need somebody for sales and marketing. So that's when, you know, we came back and started devising, okay, who's going to step into these roles? What are they going to be doing? Who are they going to be reporting to? And all of that. And since we've transitioned into this structure, my life, even like coming back from, you know, now that I'm back at work and I'm back in the business, I haven't had to go back 110% like I was before. I'm able to still maintain being a mother and running the business because I'm able to just oversee all of the parts of the business and have these people report to me, have, you know, me give any guidance and direction on what needs to be done. And it's so much more, well, not just like, you know, the fact that I don't have to like be stressed out every day is very nice, but also I enjoy work a lot more this way. I actually like turning up to work and figuring out the problems and issues with the other leaders. So yeah, I think that for me was the biggest takeaway.
And then Michael, what about you know, what about you?
Am I viewed as a leader in the company? Sometimes, sometimes I think they just think I'm the fun guy. Um, but then we did some feedback forms, and some people were saying that I was scary, and I was like, "What? What is happening?" I was like, "I'm so relaxed."
Scary fun.
Yeah, scary fun. That's how you could describe it. Leadership, I mean, I guess just for me, it is leading by example, right? Like, your boss is awake until midnight working, and then he's up at the crack of dawn or before the sun is even up, and he's working his ass off for the business. And if I'm putting in the hard yards, then I expect the same out of everybody else. I think the other thing is probably, especially more recently, is just the extreme ownership idea, and kind of a phrase I've been starting to say a lot more in ClickUp and in emails to the team is I've been sort of appointing the throat to choke. So anytime there's some sort of a task, I say I'll call out one person and I'm like, you're the throat to choke. So everything depends on you, hitting the deadline depends on you. If this goes to shit, it's on you. You have to own this is your project, get it done, right? Because sometimes in the email or the task there'll be, you know, 3 or 4 people, and then what happens a lot of the time is, oh yeah, it didn't get done because thingy didn't get back to me about this and that, or whatever. Everyone likes to pass the buck. So what I've been doing a lot of is like, I don't care what the hell happens. If this goes sideways, it's you. Okay, so make sure this gets done.
Complete ownership.
Yeah,
Christina,
complete ownership.
it reminds of something as well.
Yes.
I just like saying throat to choke, I think.
I keep saying he shouldn't say that. It sounds threatening. HR's going to come after you.
it's borderline sexual. That's
Yeah, that also, right? Yeah. That's the scary fun I'm talking about. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about stress. I guess it's all individual and it's all perceptive. Running an agency business or a people business, and we tend to compare an agency business to a restaurant business model. You also have like people and processes, and it's also quite stressful. What's been your relationship with stress? How did you deal with it? Has it even been an issue for you?
Okay. There's no stress for me. It never, there never has been. I don't know. Do I ever get stressed about anything in that
No,
business at all? Never.
Michael's a robot. He doesn't get
That's,
stressed. He doesn't get sad.
that's whatever happens, and you just get shit
I
done.
stress enough for the both of us.
Is that a Bali philosophy? Was that how do you approach this?
For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't get very stressed out about any situations. Like if something bad happens, I don't know. I guess you could say it's stoic, if you want to use
Yeah.
that word. But I'm just
Mm,
like, it is what it is, and then whatever. I just got to deal with it. There's yeah, no stress. When I used to work in an agency, I was stressed the hell. I was just
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
I'd wake up anxious, right? But yeah, just running the agency, it's been, yeah, perfectly fine for me. So
Mm. Is
I
that
think
because
Michael,
is it because it comes with so freedom of choice, freedom to see like what's
I'm
why
sure
such a
it's also
difference?
it's got to do that. Yeah, I own the agency, and I don't have anybody to answer to. So
Mm,
I guess when you're an employee and you fuck up, you think, okay, I'm going to look bad. My boss is going to think I'm a idiot or a shithead. With me, if something fucks up, I'm like, whatever. That fuck up's on me.
mm.
I just deal with it and move on. I don't think any
I think
situation's that bad.
that's an interesting perception, especially that Jerry, you said that you stressed for both of you. So you are the
Outsource
other
stress.
co-founder. Yeah. Tell us like what was that experience for you?
oh, look, it's just different personality types as well. And I think Michael's very stoic approach is a good balance between me and him because when I sometimes like get anxious about whatever it is, he reminds me to like chill the fuck out. We've got this. It's all right. So I think that balance of him on me is good, but also I'm a very solutions orientated person. Like for me, when something's bugging me, when there's a problem, when there's challenges, I I rather than just getting really stressed, I just need to find it. I need to find the solution, whether it's on my own or whether it's calling in the team. And then that stress goes away. Then there's a new stress, there's a new problem. I mean, it comes with the job, right? Like, especially when you're owning your own business, it's kind of always there, but you can learn to manage it some in one way or another. For me, it's solutions and also having great support of Michael and Josh and the rest of the team. I know that I'm not doing anything on my own and taking on challenges on my own because I've got an amazing team supporting me behind me. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm never that stressed these days. I think the stress really came early on. Now I'm a lot more like Michael, where we're just like, all right, we've been through this
We've been
before.
through it all.
We can deal with it.
Yeah, develop some thick skin, I guess. Just before we wrap up, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the future of, I won't say the future, but your vision for the business, and I guess also where do you see email marketing or specifically maybe even retention marketing space going in the next few years? Also considering the AI developments, the specificity of the agency operations business, everyone's now speaking about more efficiency or leveraging AI for various tasks. We're working on that too. What's your take on it? Have you explored it? And if yes, how do you see no limit email in the next 2-3 years?
I'll go. I think there are only two ways that you can really survive and thrive in the space going forward. You either got to be really good at strategy and own the entire process, own the trust of clients like completely, so that clients don't question you anymore. So they come to you with everything, so you're not a commoditized agency, or you become really, really good at producing emails in volume, right? With the help of AI and stuff like that, you just become like an email factory. And both of which, like being an email factory is not bad, right? And I think what we're trying to work towards is, and that's why we have like different packages for both. We've got our way to straddle that line where we've got consulting packages. We've got like the super in-depth full retention marketing consulting and advisory kind of package. And we've also got, simple stuff like you want emails, how many emails you want? Like we get you the emails that you want, right? And if you want 20 emails, 50 emails, like, okay, yeah, sure, we can do it, right? As long as you're able to pay, cool. Like we just need to make sure that our team can handle that volume, and it's just a matter of how efficient we are in creating our processes so that we don't have an issue of resource crunch. So yeah, it's just two ways of doing this, and I think both are completely scalable. It can be a different business model, but then yeah, we just decided that we want to productize our NLE in this way so we can serve both ends of the market.
Are you using AI in any way? Are you going to use
I
AI?
think I think we were a little bit later to the game when it came to AI, but this year we've invested heavily into AI. I was going to say it's actually a funny thing. One of the now prerequisites for every when we're hiring is what's the question? It's like, do you have experience with AI? Show us examples of what you
Hmm.
do with AI. Are you using it in your daily workflow? So I think if you aren't even just like using it in your daily workflow, like I think I got Chat GPT, Claude, and Grok up all in different tabs 24/7, and I'm just asking them questions throughout the whole day. It's crazy.
Hmm.
And yeah, because I think if people are coming in and they're not used to AI or haven't been playing with it, like you need to be proficient in AI in the future. Otherwise, you're not going to have a job, right? And then in terms of us using it, we are using it to speed up a lot of processes that, especially the ones that really bog down the team and that are costing the agency a lot of money. And using it to speed up those processes. Of course, it still needs some human input to finalize, revise, or to change things. But yeah, we're going very, very hard with it at the moment. We hired an AI expert. He's created a bunch of agents for us. We've just hired another AI expert, and I think it's like 30 different agents we're building out from that for all sorts of things across the agency, not just client delivery, but internal marketing, sales. Yeah,
Yeah.
so many things. I think, yeah, if you're not really jumping into it right now and deep diving into it, you're going to be left behind because it moves so fast. That's the other thing, right? It's exponential. It's not linear. So you really got to be on top of it.
Do you think your team will become smaller in any way just because of AI and AI replacing some of the labor processes and activities?
I don't think that the team will become smaller. I think they'll just be able to take on more clients. They'll
Mm.
be able to take on more
More
work
capacity.
because
Yeah,
everything's done
that's
faster and more easily.
That's pretty much the goal for us, like right now, especially. We've had great systems and processes in the past, but in the last 3 months, we've been going through an Elon Musk style of streamlining and updating our systems. First, looking before even integrating AI into the processes, first looking at what we can streamline, what's not necessary, what can go, just so that we can take out the bloat in our team's daily workflow. And then at the end, we've now been adding AI into the systems and processes, which is now exponentially increasing their output per project, per client. So yeah, but the thing is, yeah, as Mike said, like the team still need to power the AI. Like we're like us, like specifically, we're not ready to have the like AI bots completely write the copy for our clients, because we do think that it still needs, delicate QA, and especially with client feedback and things like that. But, who knows at a later stage, but for now, definitely our team is powering it, but they're just increasing output.
Great. Well, no wonder why you're the best in the game. If you could give one piece of advice or wisdom to other agencies or other marketing teams, what would it be?
My advice is going back to being obsessed. You got to be fucking obsessed. You got to be a bit of a madman, right? You got to be crazy to do this sort of stuff. Like, agency work is not for the faint-hearted. Neither is just building a business. That's big. When I talk to other email agency guys, a lot of the smaller like email bros, I tell them that they have to remove themselves from the client delivery. If you get stuck in that cycle, the business is going to go nowhere. It's a disservice to your clients. It's a disservice to yourself. Yeah, so you have to build a solid team, and you can't do that charging $1,000 or $2,000 for 50 emails. So sort that out. Get your margins up. Hire some proper A players. You need the money to do that, and then you got to start working on the business instead of inside of the business.
That's brilliant. That's exactly what we say as well.
That's it. Sometimes it's funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like the most
Yeah.
simplest answer is, because sometimes you see the gurus and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, you just got to charge more, right? And you're
Mm.
just like, shut the fuck up. And then I've, every now and then I'll yeah, I just do a favor. I jump on a call with email agency owner who's trying to grow his business, and then he tells me, and he's like trying to hire people, but then I hire them and they suck, and then I'm like, how much are you paying them? I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, well, how much are you charging clients, and what are you delivering to, when you're charging that much? And then I tell them, like, this is going to sound stupid, but my advice is raise your prices, right? And it sounds so simple. And sometimes I think it falls on deaf ears because it sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, that's going to solve, 90% of your issues and your problems. And then
Yeah.
you have money for the business, whatever it is, marketing, to replace yourself, to have a actual strategist that isn't going to lose all of your clients. Otherwise, you're just on this hamster wheel, and you can't take off time. You can't be sick because you're delivering for your clients. You can't go on paternity leave or maternity leave because you have to deliver for your clients. If your house burnt down, too bad. Hopefully you've got your laptop when you ran out, because you still got to deliver for your clients, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I think most people are afraid of high prices or raising their prices in one way or another. Maybe it's a limiting block, maybe a limiting belief or whatever. But absolutely, the pattern that I see the most is that transition from a technician to a CEO like role, or professionalizing yourself as an entrepreneur, become more like business driven rather than craft driven. Although these are not mutually exclusive, but it's important to make that transition. So yeah, totally agree with you. Look, guys, it's been phenomenal. It's clear why you're the best in the game, one of the best in the game, and what you talk about, and the philosophy and the values and how you approach hiring, team building, and overall philosophy of running a business is brilliant. I think I wish you even more success and more efficient and profitable growth in 2025 and 2026 and beyond.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Alex.
Romans. Thanks for
Thank
inviting us on the podcast. Thanks, Christina. It's been great chatting to you all.
Awesome.
Thank you very
Great.
much. It was
See
lovely
ya.
having you.